Migration.
The new
Our
migration strategy.
migration program.
Migration visas.
Australia Migration Talks.
Hello everyone, I'm Alex. Today we are talking about something many refused visa applicants misunderstand. Is an ART appeal just about submitting the documents again? When many people receive a refusal, their first reaction is, then I'll appeal. I'll add some more documents, explain a bit more, and it should be fine. Some people also think that whatever is written in the refusal letter is all they need to respond to. But is an ART appeal really that simple? Today we have Jasmine with us again. Jasmine is a highly experienced migration agent. She has nearly 20 years of experience in the migration industry and specializes in complex visa matters, refusals, cancellations, appeals, character-related cases, health-related cases, and other difficult migration matters. Jasmine, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you, Alex.
Many applicants think an appeal is simply about adding the documents they did not submit before or explaining the issues raised in the refusal letter. Is that understanding correct?
Definitely not. Of course, in an IRT appeal, we need to look at the refusal reasons. We also need to understand why the decision maker refused the visa. But an appeal is not just about responding to the refusal letter. More importantly, we need to reassess the entire application, because the refusal letter sets out the department's final decision and part of the reasons. But the real problem in an application is not only in the refusal letter. The problem may be hidden in the materials that were previously submitted. Maybe the statement was not clear enough. Maybe the evidence was not properly connected. Maybe there was an issue with the timeline. Maybe the explanation and the evidence contradicted each other. Or maybe the entire direction of the application was not persuasive from the very beginning. So an ART appeal is not simply about adding documents. It is about reviewing the whole case again.
So we cannot only look at what appears on the surface of the refusal letter.
Correct. The refusal letter is important, but you definitely cannot look only at the refusal letter. Many applicants read a few sentences in the refusal letter and think, I'll just explain these few points. But sometimes, the refusal letter is only a summary of the problem. The real reason behind the refusal may already have appeared in the materials you previously submitted. For example, how you explained your personal background, how you described your partner relationship, how you explained your study plan, how you explained your work experience, whether the evidence you submitted was consistent. All of these need to be reviewed again. If you only focus on the refusal letter, you may miss the real problem.
In an ART appeal, what does it actually mean to reassess the entire application?
Simply put, you cannot only ask, what documents am I still missing? You need to ask first, why was this case not believed? That question is more important. The most common types of appeals we see are student visa appeals, partner visa appeals, and employer-sponsored visa refusal appeals. On the surface, they are completely different visa categories. A student visa looks at the study plan. A partner visa looks at whether the relationship is genuine and continuing. An employer-sponsored visa looks at the position, the business, and whether the applicant meets the requirements. But the underlying logic is actually the same. Your original application failed to convince the department. So, at the ART appeal stage, it is not about simply adding more documents. It is not about writing a few paragraphs responding to the refusal letter. It is about reviewing the whole application again. For a student visa, we need to look at whether there is a clear logic between the study plan, personal background, course choice, and future plan. For a partner visa, we need to look at whether the relationship timeline, evidence of living together, both parties' statements, and third-party evidence are connected. For an employer-sponsored visa, we need to look at whether the position is genuine, whether the business genuinely needs that role, and whether the applicant's background supports the position. These things look different, but the real question is the same. Why should this application be believed? If this question is not answered clearly, adding more documents may still not help.
So, an ART appeal is not about making the materials bigger. It is about making the case clearer.
Exactly. What the ART member wants to see is not how many pages of documents you submit. They want to see whether those documents answer the real issue.
Have you seen cases where applicants thought the problem was just missing documents, but in reality, the logic of the whole application had problems?
It is not just common. It is the majority of cases. Some applicants say, I was refused because I just missed some documents. But after we review the whole application, we often find that the problem is far more than missing documents. For example, in a student visa case, the applicant may think, The study plan was just not written well enough, but the real problem may be that their previous education, work experience, current course choice, and future plan were not connected as one clear line. If you only rewrite a statement, but do not reorganize the applicant's background and study logic, the appeal is still risky. Another example is the partner visa. The applicant may think the problem is just not enough photos or that the Form 888 was not strong enough. But the real issue may be that the relationship timeline is inconsistent, the evidence is not connected, and key stages of the relationship were not explained. If you only add a few more photos, the appeal definitely cannot be fixed.
So some cases cannot be saved by simply adding a few documents.
Correct. Some cases need to be reorganized. This is not about making up a story. It is about presenting the real situation in the right way. Which parts were not explained clearly before? Which evidence was not placed in the right position? Which contradictions need to be explained? Which background details need to be added? Which risks must be addressed directly? All of these need to be handled at the appeal stage. Let me give you an example from a partner visa appeal that was recently granted. In that case, the refusal letter said that the materials across the 4 aspects of the partner relationship were not sufficient to prove that the relationship was genuine and continuing. This is one of the most common refusal reasons in partner visa cases, insufficient evidence. But at the ART appeal stage, we definitely were not just adding the materials that were missing at the time. Because from the date the partner visa was lodged to the time the appeal was reviewed, the couple may have waited 2 or 3 years. During that time, their relationship did not stop on the date of refusal. The relationship continued. Their life continued. So when preparing the appeal, we had to prepare the relationship evidence from the beginning of their relationship all the way to the time the ART was reviewing the case. The development of the relationship, living arrangements, financial arrangements, household responsibilities, and social evidence all had to be reorganized. And during the process of preparing the materials again, we also found many new issues. For example, the sponsor's police clearance from their country of origin. For example, unclear financial arrangements between the 2 parties. For example, some materials that needed further explanation. If these issues are not fully prepared and explained before the ART hearing, they may continue to become risks at the appeal stage. So, on the surface, the refusal letter said insufficient evidence. But when we actually handle an ART appeal, we are not just dealing with adding documents. We are dealing with how the entire case should be represented at the ART stage.
That example is very clear. On the surface, it was insufficient evidence, but in reality, the whole case had to be reorganized from the beginning of the relationship to the time of the ART review.
Exactly.
Some people may ask, since the ART will review the case again, can we just overturn the original application and start again?
No, that is not the right way to understand it. The IRT will reassess the case, but that does not mean the applicant can simply change the whole story. At the appeal stage, one of the biggest risks is inconsistency. You can add information, you can explain, you can clarify things that were not clearly explained before, but you cannot suddenly create a completely different story just for the appeal. Because the RT will also look at what you previously submitted. What you said before, what you say now, and whether the two are consistent are all very important. So reassessing the entire application does not mean rejecting everything you said before. It means presenting the parts that were not understood before in a clearer way with stronger evidence.
So it is not about creating a new application. It is about reorganizing the original true circumstances.
Correct? That is also why ART appeals cannot rely on templates. Every case has different refusal reasons, different previously submitted materials, different applicant background, and different strategy. For student visa appeals, one case may need to focus on course logic, another may need to focus on financial explanation, another may need to focus on study history. For partner visa appeals, one case may need to focus on the relationship timeline, another may need to focus on evidence of living together, another may need to focus on inconsistent statements from both parties. You must review the whole application first before you know what really needs to be addressed.
So the first step in an ART appeal is to review the whole file.
Yes, the first step must be to review the complete file. The refusal letter must be reviewed. The original application form must be reviewed. The original statement must be reviewed. All evidence previously submitted must be reviewed. Any requests from the department must also be reviewed. How the applicant responded must also be reviewed. Sometimes, the real problem is in the materials originally submitted. If you do not review the whole file and start preparing appeal materials straight away, it is very easy to create more problems.
If an applicant is already at the ART appeal stage, what should they avoid most?
There are two things they should avoid. First, do not randomly add documents. Many people start adding documents like crazy once they appeal, but materials without direction may not help. They may even create more problems. Second, do not only explain one or two sentences from the refusal letter. You need to go back to the whole application and ask why this case did not convince the department. If this core issue is not addressed, writing more appeal materials may still not help.
What is the one sentence you most want to remind applicants today?
An ART appeal is not about making the documents thicker. It is about understanding the case more clearly. You need to know where the problem really is before you know what evidence should be added, how the explanation should be written, and how the whole case should be represented.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you, Alex.
And thank you everyone for listening. If you are preparing an ART appeal, remember this. Do not only ask what documents you still need to add. First ask where the real problem in this case is. I'm Alex. See you next time.